Overthinking, spiraling, stressing out to the point that you can't even eat. Honestly, at this point, I think we've all been there. But actually, the more we learn about stress and anxiety, the more we can actually realize that we have so much more control over this than we think. And it's not difficult either. That's why I'm making this video. Because once you watch this video till the end, you're gonna walk away with powerful new tools that will help you manage your anxiety, your stress, and your overthinking so much better that soon enough, you're literally gonna think to yourself, I was literally worried about that. But before we jump in, I just want to give you a quick disclaimer that this video is based on my own experiences and it is by no means made from a therapist, mental health specialist, or any other medical point of view. This guide is completely and fully based on my own experiences, my own journey with stress management, and also those of my friends. So please take what resonates and leave out what doesn't. And also do not treat this video as a form of diagnosis, and please consider seeking therapy or professional help if your anxiety becomes difficult to manage. This guide is fully universal and it's not only targeting one type of stress. So take what resonates and leave out what doesn't. And now let's get into the video. So the first very important distinction that I want to make is actually the gut feeling versus anxiety, because I feel like this is something that gets confused so much. So gut feeling is essentially this very deep feeling of knowing something, even though you don't really have a conscious reason or proof in front of you. So for example, when you meet a new person and you say hi to them, you kind of, exchange your names, but you get a bad vibe from them. Like, you're just kind of like, something's wrong with that person, and you can't tell why, because technically they haven't done anything wrong, but you can tell that something is not clicking. That is gut feeling. Or let's say when your partner is acting shady, but normally it would be something due to their mental health or stress or something else, but this time it feels different. That is gut feeling. But what gut feeling isn't is when you have a reason to worry and you start, or you think you have a reason to worry, and you start spiraling and making up more and more fearful scenarios that cause you anxiety. So this weird pit in your stomach, all of that you get is anxiety, because anxiety is based on fear. So please remember to not interpret anxiety as this sign of something is going wrong, because anxiety is not the feeling when you know that something is off, it's the fear of what if. Now that we understand this distinction, let's talk about what stress actually causes you long term, because I feel like it's really important to tell you that stress is literally never good. And because we do have a lot of control over how we respond to things, I just want to tell you that stress is the worst possible way to react to most things. And I guess we probably all know that stress is #1 factor of most mental health illnesses such as depression, ED. I mean, there's honestly tons. And stress also heavily impacts your productivity, your efficiency, your focus, your well-being, and how you move throughout the day. And also stress makes you feel isolated, which can lead to avoidance. And another very common thing that it causes is low self-esteem, lack of trust in oneself, lack of confidence, insecurities, and of course all of this translates into how you go about your day. Overall, stress can literally blind you from all the opportunities that you see, and it literally blocks you from growing as a person, because stress is this self-sabotage and it translates into so many things. And physical issues can also include chronic pain, inflammation, weakened immune system, fatigue, acne. Honestly, there's tons of other unpleasant things that I could list, but I'm not gonna go through them in this video because I just wanted to briefly tell you that stress is just literally never good, and that's why we should work on it, just for our health and our mental health. And before we dive into this guide, I just wanted to remind you of a very important thing, which is what you can control and what you can't control. You need to remember that you can only control things that are within your control. And I know that it sounds a bit cliche and it's something that people repeat over and over again, but it is true, because you can't control how you respond to things, how much work you put into things, your feelings, your thoughts. But what you can't control is how people will respond to you, what results you're gonna get from a test despite how much work you put into studying, what people think of you, how certain situations play out, and so on. You can't control those things. And the more you stress about these kind of things, one thing is you're gonna harm yourself long term, but also nothing's gonna change anyway. No amount of overthinking and stressing will actually change the scenario that you can't control. You've done your best, you've done what you could, and that is all that matters. But I know it's easy to say, and even when you know this, sometimes it's still a struggle to not overthink. So I'm gonna walk you through a guide that will definitely help you. And I just want to throw this one little reminder that most of your fears, probably 90% of them, are actually never going to happen. All of those scenarios that you are imagining and stressing yourself about, they are not gonna happen. Most of the time, they are completely made up and they are based on your nervous system because it's not regulated, and also it's based on your past experiences. But just because something happened in a certain way long time ago, it doesn't mean that it will happen the exact same way. So whenever you get into new situations, relationships, friendships, schools, places, jobs, make sure that you don't make assumptions and don't let them run the narrative, because you control your narrative. Okay, so now let's move on to the guide, and I actually divided this into 3 sections. Section number 1 is mindset shifts, section number 2 is emotional soothing, and the last one is physical reset. So you can apply whatever works, and you can also skip to any part that you find most interesting, but I would suggest you to watch through all of it because all of it is very important. So let's start with mindset shifts, and the first one is schedule worry time. And I know it might sound funny at first, but actually it's such a powerful way to eliminate worrying. So basically what you do with this method is that you tell yourself that, let's say you only worry at 6 p.m. for an hour, and whenever throughout the day before 6 p.m. a thought comes up, a worry comes up, some sort of an anxiety, you literally say to yourself, nah, the office is closed, like I am not worrying now, I'm gonna do it later. Oftentimes, most likely most of the times, you're gonna notice that every time 6 p.m. approaches, you actually forgotten completely about what that worry was about and you just let it pass. Mindset shift number 2 is clarity journal. I talk about clarity journals quite a bit in my videos, but that's because this is literally my most favorite method. Personally, I use this a lot because clarity journal is this space for you where you can dump all of your thoughts, all of your worries, everything that is bubbling up in there, and this serves as an emotional cleanse, because as soon as you let go of all of those emotions, you are now free to go. Like, your nervous system is so much more regulated and it feels at peace, because it's completely normal to feel overwhelmed at times. There's things that pile up in our lives. If you don't let them out, they're just gonna keep bottling up and piling up until you feel like there's literally so much going on and your mind will be so cluttered that you're just not gonna be able to move forward with anything. And that's why it's so key to have this clarity journal where you just write everything down and you just completely let go of those emotions. You completely cleanse your whole emotional system, your aura, all of that. And all it is genuinely just taking a piece of paper and writing everything down. You don't need to worry about the grammar or spelling, just write it as it comes to you. And when you're done, to make it even more impactful, I would suggest you tear it off and try to tear it completely, or even stomp on it or burn it, throw it in the bin, because this will act as the symbol of genuinely letting go of whatever was worrying you in that moment. You're good to go. You feel good. Number 3 is write a letter to self. This is a really good practice, especially when you need reassurance and you just need to look at something to pick you up. It serves as such a good pick-me-up. So in this letter, I want you to focus on every single obstacle that you've managed to get through and remind yourself of every single situation that was very stressful in the moment and somehow you still managed to get through it and you laugh at them now. And remind yourself that this is temporary, that every time something bad was happening, you always found a way out. And to make it even better, I would suggest writing this from your future self POV. And for this, you can honestly write as many letters as you want, because, you know, there's different situations and sometimes you need reassurance, sometimes you need to focus on a specific area of life. Now we're getting into emotional soothing, and these practices basically will help you relax and ground yourself. Number 1 is meditation. Meditation is so helpful because what it does, it literally makes you so grounded and so calm and so relaxed, but also it teaches you how to not respond to intrusive thoughts, to anxiety, to anything that is something that you just don't want to entertain. You just learn it to let it pass, because this is essentially the whole practice is about focusing on your breath, and whenever something pops up, like an itch or maybe literally some thoughts, you just let them pass. You don't judge them, you don't react to them in any way. And that way you build emotional maturity, you become so much more focused and calm, and your overall well-being will improve so much. Number 2 is gratitude. Listen, gratitude is so underrated. underrated. I can tell you that since I started practicing gratitude personally, I just became so much more positive and just at peace with everything around me, because it helps you notice the things that you have and it shifts away from the negativity and stress. And just to make it very clear, none of those things will actually help you eliminate stress completely, but we are learning how to manage it properly. And whenever you practice gratitude, maybe think about things that you dreamed of as a kid or a teenager that you now have, like being at a university or having a couple of good friends. Or look outside and see that there's sun and you love sunny weather and it makes you happy. Be grateful that you get to wake up every single day and go about your day as you want. Trust me, try for 5 minutes every single day and I can tell you now that you won't regret it. Number 3 is a list of SOS reminders. Whenever things get heavy in your life, it's really good to have a list of reminders that you can easily access and come back to. And for this specific step, I would actually suggest you creating different lists of reminders for different areas of life and different feelings, such as feeling unmotivated or feeling unworthy or feeling depressed. And make sure that this is really personal and this is something that genuinely speaks to you. Don't use things that you don't really believe in or don't really move you, because it's just gonna make you spiral even more. But if you struggle with ideas, I have a couple of reminders on my YouTube channel that you can look at, and I also have PDFs in those videos that you can download, so make sure to check that out. And now onto the number 4, which is achievements and progress log. This is another thing that I always talk about in my videos, and again, for a reason. Personally, since I've been doing this, I've become so much more confident and trusting in myself, because having achievements log and a progress log is something that reminds you every single time that you are progressing and that you are growing and that you're so much more stronger than what is happening in the current moment. It also acknowledges every single tiny win, and that ultimately makes you so much more inspired and motivated. And your achievement log and progress log can be specifically on this journey or any other journey or just daily. I personally do it every single night before I go to sleep, and I just write down in my notes what I've done and achieved this day, what are the highlights of my day, and then at the end of the week I read through all of it and then I look at my progress log, which is where I basically summarize the whole week, and that way I can see exactly where I grew as a person and what I've done, and I can just focus on the positive things that happened because they should outweigh the negative things. So even when something negative happens, I also write down that I still managed to get through it, like I still managed to find a way out even though it felt like I couldn't, and that ultimately, like I said, makes you so much more confident, so much more resilient, and so much more loving and compassionate towards yourself. Now again, onto the last part, which is the physical reset. We need to remember that stress also harms our bodies, and we need to remember that moving is actually such a great way to raise our dopamine and other high vibe hormones. So let's go through this list now. Number 1 is move your body. And I know this is so common and literally everybody speaks about this, but again, for a reason, because even 5 minutes of movement can literally do wonders. Whenever you're stressed or overthink, maybe take a walk, do yoga, maybe stretch, maybe run, dance, even sign up for MMA classes, whatever really lets you let go of all of this tension and build up of emotions. Do that. Even shaking the tension out is a very good practice. This is what actors do before they start rehearsing, because that helps them let go of all of that tension. So you can literally do this and like move your body like this, and that way you literally physically release of all of that tension that has been built up from your stress, anxiety and worries. Number 2 is enjoy the weather. This sounds like a cliche, I know, but stay with me on this. Every time that the sun is out, please make it a priority to, even for 5 minutes, walk outside and soak it in, and do it without any distractions. Literally just listen to nature and listen to everything around you and really take it all in, because this will set your day on a such positive note. It ultimately makes you so much happier and so much more likely to just keep going throughout the day and not really notice the bad things. And again, it helps you with gratitude, but enjoying the weather and reconnecting with nature is a very underrated way, but such a powerful one. Number 3 is self-care rituals and romanticizing life. It's time to incorporate some new routines into your schedule, because you also need to remember that your routines, they either break you or make you feel nourished, relaxed and motivated and ready to go. And this can be anything that fills your cup in the morning or in the evening. I personally recommend slow routines, and I always talk about them because since I've started doing them, my days are just beautiful and perfect. Like, I never dread anything, because waking up in rush and anxiety and feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to get ready now, will genuinely just set your day on this anxious note, and it will just make you so much more negative. But when you devote that 1 extra hour to slowly ease into the day and ease out of the day, that's when you make a real change. Because yes, I get it, you probably want to sleep for that extra hour, but do you prefer sleeping for an extra hour, or do you prefer to actually have a good day? Number 4, sleep. Now, rest is obviously the most crucial thing, and it's literally the foundation of how you're gonna be throughout your day. And to avoid feeling fatigued, you need to prioritize your sleep, and you need to work on your sleeping patterns. Listen, I see you staying up until 3 a.m. scrolling on TikTok, but let me tell you right now that this is one of the worst things that you can do, because that causes so much anxiety and stress that literally makes you spiral so much more, and it literally doesn't let your body rest. And night is for sleep. Sleep for 8 hours minimum, and make sure that you turn off all of your screens 1 hour before and 1 hour after. And in that hour, it's the perfect time to incorporate some slow routines and focus on gratitude, journaling, moving. I can promise you that your future self will thank you for this. And finally, I want you to remember that we are not trying to eliminate stress and completely get rid of it, because it will always be in our lives. There's always situations that happen that will stress us out, but what we are learning here is how to manage them, how to respond to them, and how to control our emotions. We are learning how to become a more regulated and more emotionally mature, so we can handle any situation. And with this advice, you're now fully equipped to start your journey. And like I said in the disclaimer, if your anxiety gets so much more unbearable, please consider seeking professional help, because no matter how many things you do, anxiety, when it's at its all-time high, will just literally stop you from even thinking rationally. So please, please, please consider seeking professional help and guidance. Remember, don't let the stress manage you, manage it instead. And to help you start off with this journey, I actually prepared a to-do list. So there's only 3 steps that I want you to take. And the first one, write 3 physical activities that you like doing. So dancing, running, jogging, walking. Number 2 is write a short reminder to yourself that everything always works out. And number 3, reflect on your triggers and find patterns that make you often stressed, anxious, and overthink. This last step will actually help you set the foundation and catch any negative pattern while it's happening. But if you're looking for other guidance, such as my ultimate guides, reminders, or my deep dives, then please head over to my channel, because I've got tons of content and it's all in different formats, so you can find what fits you. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you know when I post. And I'm also on TikTok and Instagram, so make sure to follow me on there as well for daily and bite-sized advice. But other than that, that will be everything from me today. Let me know in the comments what you found the most helpful and inspiring, and also let me know how you've been managing your stress, because I want to make the comment section a space where people can actually go and seek further guidance and further advice from other people. So make sure to share your advice. But other than that, I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.